On today's podcast, we'll talk about the power of failure, getting dressed down by Tom Hanks, Armageddon, the Green Mile, and of course, our recipe from Great Aunt Celeste. Just a little bit of business before we start. There may be a curse word here or there in this episode, so please listen responsibly. As always, our website, theop.io, is up and chock full of tips, tricks, and gooey operator goodness. Make sure to check out The Breakdown, where the best operators in the biz explain shots they have done, The Musings, where we discuss everything from quick tips to larger concepts of storytelling, the answers, the images, and so much more. I may or I may not take a break or two during this episode, but I promise that none of them will be longer than 22 seconds. Finally, if you are enjoying the podcast, please follow us, write a review, share us with your parents, and talk us up around the water cooler with your friends. So grab a beverage, sit back, and enjoy the op. Thanks for listening.
Liven up, nice and quiet, and let's roll.
Rolling. Victor 30 Echo, take 2.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark.
And camera set. And action.
Hello and welcome back to the Op Podcast, the podcast where we talk about operating and the art of visual storytelling. I am Dave Comides, and I'm coming to you from the lovely Hyatt Regency in Santa Clarita, California today because I'm here for a week helping to teach the SOA, the Steadicam Operators Association, Steadicam workshop for some great students. And we've been here for 4 days doing some great work. And tonight we have an amazing opportunity. We're actually going to record a podcast live in front of the group of them and other operators who have come in to listen with an amazing guest. But first, I'm going to segue a little bit. Dear podcast listeners, you've listened to the podcast quite a bit since I started about 1.5 years ago, I think. And I think I've got 70 to 80 podcasts out, but it wasn't always so great. And I'm going to tell you why, or not why, how that happened. I interviewed my guest tonight, who's a fantastic person who I will introduce in a second, as the first person. And he was amazing, and I was not so amazing. And when I listened to it back, I had questions that I had written out on a piece of paper that I read straight to the thing. And there were things like, so how long have you been a Steadicam operator? And I listened to it and I thought, I can't put this out because it does not do justice to our guest tonight. So we're doing it again today as a very special podcast. I am sitting here next to the great, legendary, fantastic operator and really cool person, David Emmerichs.
Absolutely.
Who is an operator who's done a ton of stuff, not only these things, but these are some of them. Bad Times at the Royale, which a lot of people didn't see, but they should see because it is a phenomenal looking movie. Avatar, which I think is a movie. Catch Me If You Can, The Majestic, The Green Mile, Con Air, Nixon, 7, Cool Runnings, and of course the movie that everybody knows you for, Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, which probably was not the final Friday the 13th movie, but whatever. It was nominated for Nocturnal Animals for an SOC award, Operator of the Year. He received an SOC Technical Award for creating the Pro Steadicam system with a couple of other folks who will probably come up in this podcast. And he inexplicably got a Lifetime Achievement Award from the SOC as well, which I guess is probably deserved. So, David, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Do you remember that first podcast?
I do, and I'm wondering why you can't just redo your part and edit in all my answers.
I tried. It was absolutely horrible. Now, here's the real question that most people also don't know. Do you remember the first thing that I asked you in that podcast? I asked you to bring something.
You did.
What did you bring? And you started off the podcast because I said to you at the very beginning, David, you've brought something for us today. What did you bring for us?
It's very germane to what we do. It was a recipe for a casserole my mother used to make.
That David explained. What was it called?
Great Aunt Celeste.
And I still have the piece of paper because I had this unbelievable idea. And this, by the way, I think is really good for younger operators to hear because they look at like the people who've been around and the stuff we've done and they go, everything they do is just amazing. And I think this is a great example of how everything we do is not amazing. I started the podcast and I had this unbelievable idea that I was going to ask everybody to bring a recipe and start off by talking about the recipe. And then I was going to put out the Steadicam operators cookbook.
Well, at this point, you'd have 130 recipes
Exactly.
and you'd actually have a cookbook and it would probably have worked.
That's right. But the only problem with it, David, is that I asked David Emmerichs, who's a really good guy and a rule follower, to bring a recipe, and he brought a recipe. And then I asked my next podcast guest, Don Devine, to bring a recipe, and he came in and he went, "Oh, I'm not bringing a recipe. I didn't bring a recipe." And then I asked Bonnie Blake, and she goes, "Oh, was I supposed to bring a recipe?" And then I asked John Toll, and he did not bring a recipe. And I thought, this is not working well. So I will be putting out the recipe for her stuff on the website, so you can have it. But thank you for playing the game at the time. So how'd you get here, David? What's your story?
Wow, that's a big sweeping question. I could go with the James Michener route and start with the dawn of the universe.
No, don't go back that far.
Don't go back that far. Okay. I'm from a generation, I think, like you, saw a movie when I was 10 that made me want to make movies.
What was it?
Saw Star Wars.
I heard that.
Yeah, exactly. So I knew from a very early age, wanted to make movies. I thought it was going to be visual effects. I was heading off in that direction.
Yeah.
Went to NYU Film School. I'd been playing around with cameras. I made animated movies in my basement. And
what year did you go to NYU?
I went there from 85 to 89.
So I was there 87 to 90. So we crossed paths.
How have we not talked about that?
I don't know. Where did you live?
Brittany Hall on 10th and Broadway.
So I lived in Brittany Hall on 10th and Broadway.
You did not.
On the 10th floor, overlooking Grace Church, and Windows in the World was on the bottom. Remember that art, the art installation?
Are you messing with me because you remember this from the previous interview? I was on the 10th floor of Brittany Hall.
Seriously?
Yes.
No, I don't think we talked about this. You were in the
From 86 to 89, I lived on the 10th floor of Brittany Hall.
What room?
Down all the way on the end, the corner.
I was 1005 all the way on the front part. And you know who lived across the hall from us was the guys who did...
Reno, Neville.
What was it?
Reno.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guys who did Reno and the State.
Thomas
Lennon. I actually don't know who lived there because like Thomas Lennon was there and Marino. Ken Marino.
And interestingly enough, my roommate was the guy who directed the Friday the 13th Jason Goes to Hell movie, which is
holy crap! So we probably like passed each other in the hallway.
That's bizarre. How have we never talked about it?
I have no idea. Oh. Yeah, anyway. Okay, good. All right, so there you go. That's really bizarre. All right, well, anyway, so you went to NYU, which I've heard of.
Yes.
And did you know Adam Sandler?
He was on our floor. I'd see him running up and down the floor, yeah.
Adam Sandler was on our floor?
He was on the floor.
I think he was above us because I would see him playing pool downstairs.
I was on 10 for like 1 or 2 years. I might have been on another floor.
And I remember there's a big thing when Adam Sandler was on The Cosby Show as like one of Theo's friends. And there were like things and downstairs were like, Adam makes it into the Cosby's living room this week. And everybody would go down and watch it or whatever.
Okay. Do you remember, did you ever have an experience where you showed up and there was blood streaked all the way up the 10th floor, the stairwell and all the way down the hall? And on the 10th
just
floor,
once, or?
No, not just once. That would have been one of my roommates, not the one who made Jason Goes to Hell, though that would be appropriate. But
college.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway, so you went to NYU.
I went there for the animation program.
This is fascinating for everybody listening, by the way,
yeah,
and
exactly.
I don't care. So anyway.
Yeah, I went to NYU for their animation program, and I realized fairly quickly that I didn't like doing animation for anybody else. I got my first paid job in the business was while I was a freshman at NYU. I worked as an assistant animator on Big Time, the Peter Gabriel video at Broadcast Arts.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was great.
But did you
first celebrity I ever got to see.
You get to work with Peter Gabriel?
Yeah, well, he came in and he walked around and he said hello to everybody. And I was like, wow.
I thought you were
my
cool.
first celebrity.
Now you're even cooler. Jesus. All right. Okay.
So... I was making $650 an hour and thought I'd hit the Big Time myself. I was like, wow, this is cool.
$650 an hour.
Yeah, I wish. So I realized, however, that everything I thought I wanted to do was going to be done with computers by the time I graduated. And that did not excite me.
Wait, so Big Time was like Peter was lying on the floor and moving fruit around him and stuff like that.
Sledgehammer.
No, that was Sledgehammer.
Yeah,
Big Time was the claymation one. That's right.
Big Time was the not quite as cool second one.
Yeah. That was cool, actually. But anyway, okay. So that wasn't the dream.
But I'd been, in the filmmaking classes we had, I really enjoyed running around with the camera.
Yeah.
And we had a wheelchair we used as a dolly and, all the tricks. I knew what a Steadicam was.
Yeah.
I'd never tried one on, but I'd seen footage of it. I'd seen what it shot and I was curious about it. And I think it was 1986, beginning of my sophomore year, I got to try one on at the SMPTE Trade Convention at the Jacob K. Javits Center.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Joe DeSalvo was the guy who was demonstrating it. He's a New York DP now.
Yep.
And I didn't want to take it off. Right. I loved it. I was like, wow. So I wanted to know more about that. Yeah. And I had a video production class teacher named Michael Yip. Don't know if we know some of the same teachers.
I don't remember him.
You can cut that part out.
I'm going to cut most of this.
You're going to cut most of this out. Yeah, exactly. So I said we had to do an interview project. We had to interview someone. And I said, I'm interested in Steadicam. I should interview a Steadicam operator. And he handed me American Cinematographer. I opened it up. Inside front cover is Ted Churchill. Because he took out the inside front cover of that magazine for like a year straight.
Yeah. Was it like the classic him sitting draped over
that one or the vest? I can't remember which. He had
okay.
he had a couple pretty famous ads.
For anybody who doesn't know what that is, I will put on David's webpage on the op for this podcast some of Ted's ads, which were iconic.
Yeah, he was one of the first people who advertised for Steadicam operators. Yeah. In the industry or in our world, yes. In our world, we kind of say Garrett invented the Steadicam and Ted invented the Steadicam operator.
Yep, and it's true. And I'll also post Day in the Life of the Steadicam operator, which is pretty funny that he made. Yeah.
So there was his phone number right there on the inside front cover of American Cinematographer. So I said, all right, what the heck? So I called him up and said, I'm interested in Steadicam. I'd love to interview you. And he said, okay. And so, like 3 nights later, I was there with two buddies of mine, and we interviewed him for a couple of hours. I've still got the footage. I never actually finished cutting it together.
Oh, we got to get that.
Yeah.
Done. Okay. Yeah.
It's a work in progress.
Was he just like, come on in, let me tell you everything? I mean, Ted liked to talk about himself, so.
Well, not only that, he set the whole thing up. He lit it. He told me where to put the camera. It's great. My favorite part, what's funny is I had to cut something together for the class, and I did, but it wasn't great because looking at it as an adult now, I go, oh, I cut out all the most interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Because the interesting stuff is where Ted goes, zoom in here. I need you to cut in. Zoom into something tight like this. No, just above the eyebrows. That's better. Pan left a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to tell you something really intense, and you're going to want to use.
Were you just like totally overwhelmed by him?
Absolutely.
Because he was a huge person.
I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
And yes, he was quite the personality, and he took over the whole thing, and
That's awesome.
It's great. So I was hooked, and he told me, if you're really interested in pursuing this, join me Wall Street 5 a.m. and on like Monday morning, whatever it is, something like that. And I'm doing a commercial, and you can see what the deal is. And it was February, so I think it was 5 degrees outside.
New York City in February.
Yeah. I remember someone kicking a coffee over right next to his stand, and it froze right away. I was wearing the clothes that I had worn in Wisconsin that I thought kept me warm when I walked to high school and back, and I didn't realize that people in the film industry are too stupid to come in out of the cold. So my first lesson in camera work from Ted was about layering and Gore-Tex and
nice,
long underwear.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And what did he? Did you just hang out and watch him, or
I hung out and watched? The very first time I ever picked up the stand for him, I managed to get it between his legs and almost tripped him and almost like flat on his face wearing the rig. And he shot me a look of death, and I thought, all right, I'm done. That's it. I've already ruined my career.
Yeah.
But the AD was screaming, get over here, get over here. So, he was distracted and fortunately forgot that moment.
All right.
I've remembered it ever since. But I saw what he did and thought, this is what I want to do. I'm going to pursue this.
Yeah.
And he taught me, I spent 3 years as his apprentice. He taught me not just how to operate the rig. I'd go to his place, put the rig on and run around, and he'd teach me how to do it.
That's amazing.
But he also taught me how to survive set politics. We'd show up on a set and he'd say, oh, these grips hate me. I'm supposed to do a walk off the Titan. They've set it up so that it's not going to work. Watch, I'm going to get fired before the end of the night. And he was right. He did. He got fired, and I watched the whole thing happen, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of lessons here to be learned.
Did he have his pipe in the whole time?
Not always, but one of my jobs was to run down to the corner and get him some more Pall Malls to stuff into his pipe. The pipe was a famous part of Teddy. Yeah.
And so how was he as a teacher? Was he was he hardcore?
Not really. He had drills that he thought would make me better technically, but it was more like if you watch Ted's work, it's not as precise as someone like Larry McConkey.
It was also a different time. The gear was different.
But Larry was doing some spooky good stuff.
Yeah.
Ted was more about the storytelling, whether it was with the camera or himself.
Himself.
And he was a great teacher, and his assistants were really good teachers.
That's amazing.
Bobby Brown was one of his assistants at the
wow.
time.
Yeah,
Taught me how
yeah.
to load cameras, things like
Oh,
that.
that's- so you were like in-
I'd run around with magazine cases, and then
And you're 18? What are you, 19?
18, 19, and then they'd say, oh, "Quick, put everything down and go hide because a union rep's coming and you can't be here." And so that was kind of the way I learned what it was I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I ended up, I think it was my senior year, I actually bought a rig, a used Model 2 from a grip in New York, and Ted helped me put it together and make it work because none of it
None of it
functioned.
worked, of course.
No, of course
Yeah.
not. And he got me my first jobs.
That's cool.
And, I started working my way up from that. And it was student films. I was running up and down the 10th floor.
I don't know how I didn't know
with
this.
a Steadicam on.
Literally, I was probably like sitting down watching Twin Peaks going, there's something going on outside I should look at. Nah, I want to watch Twin Peaks. That's amazing. Did I ever tell you my TED story, my one and only TED story?
No, go.
Which I treasure. I saw him at, what did it used to be called out in L.A.? Now it's Cinegear, but it was Showbiz Expo. Was it called Showbiz Expo?
Yeah, that was the thing.
So Showbiz Expo, and I'm walking around, and there's the movie cam booth, and Ted's there being Ted, and he's standing there next to Steadicam, and I realized who he was. And I think I had just turned 12, maybe I was 13, and I went up and I went, Mr. Churchill, I'm Dave Comides, I'm a Steadicam operator, and he kind of looked me up and down, and he went, yeah, and I talked, I was like, I'm a real fan of yours and I love your work or whatever. And as I was talking to him, I realized that he had completely disengaged from me and was going like that and just turned and walked away and started chatting up these two women who were walking by. And I just sort of slunk away and that was it. And I'm actually so happy that that is my one interaction with Ted because of what I know of him, that was very much like, yeah, this is not of interest. That's of and I'm going there.
Yeah, that's very on brand. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I thought that was kind of great. I was like, great, I have a story and I can go. So you're just screwing up student films and music videos and stuff like
Music
that?
videos.
When is this? What is this, 1990?
1988, 89.
So you're like sort of the beginning of the second wave of Steadicam
Exactly.
operators?
Sort of second generation.
Okay.
And I bumped into Jimmy Murrow in Washington Square Park. He was shooting something, and I ended up doing slates for them that night.
It's important to
Talked
point
him.
out to everybody that this is pre-internet. So the only thing you knew was stuff you read and talked to people.
Exactly.
So you
or
couldn't look
behind the
people up.
scenes things. If you rarely saw something and be like, oh, what's that? Or, I saw Aliens, and that's where you saw the Steadicam more than anything
Right.
else. It's guns floating on these arms.
Yeah, you're like,
that's really cool.
If Vasquez can run around with it, I can run around with
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
So meeting Jimmy was great. He helped teach me stuff. Music videos, for some reason, I ended up doing a lot of rap videos.
Everybody did. There were like
Right?
rap
That's
videos.
what was going on.
I did 4 every weekend for FM Rocks, and Maddie Libatique was the DP.
Okay.
And we were not who we are now. That's for sure.
No, definitely not. But it was
they
great.
paid you $200, and it was great.
Yeah, and that's where you start. And then I think the first movie I did was Hanging with the Homeboys.
Awesome.
And so that was shot in the South Bronx. I spent most of my time working in South Bronx, Harlem, Bedford-Stuyvesant.
But when you say the first movie you did, you're just doing Steadicam, right?
Yes. This is
Okay.
back when Steadicam, you're called in just to do those shots specifically. The hired gun, do the Steadicam shot.
So back then, when you were just going and doing Steadicam, how did you learn? I mean, who taught you how to operate? I'm not saying operate Steadicam.
Right.
Like Ted taught you how to operate Steadicam. Who taught you about headroom and about set etiquette and about? Well, Ted taught you some set etiquette, but like all that.
I'd been making student films, so I guess between the photography I'd started doing as a kid, the movies I made as a kid with my Super 8 camera, and then student films. Like when I was at NYU, I just shot as many student films as I could. I shot one year I shot like 23 student films or something like that.
As a Steadicam operator?
No, this was before I had the Steadicam.
Oh, as a DP?
Just as a DP.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so
I wonder if I worked on it.
I developed, you develop an ability, like, okay, if you're going to be a Steadicam operator, you need a good ability to compose on the fly.
Yeah.
So what makes a good looking picture?
Uh-huh.
I learned a lot of that watching movies. I did a whole presentation for the SOC during COVID, which was what inspired you to do what you do. And
I've
one
never
of the
seen
things
that.
that really got me, there was a revival theater near my house in Milwaukee where I grew up. And they showed old movies. They showed double features, triple features. You could make requests.
Wow.
So I got to see all the old classic films on the big screen. Lawrence of Arabia, Bridge on the River Kwai, Patton, Doctor Strangelove 2001.
awesome.
Seven Samurai. I saw all those movies on the big screen, and that taught me the language of film.
That's so cool. So you're going in and you're going, I'm going to make the Homeboys look like Bridge on the River Kwai or whatever.
I guess, even though I think that was I can't remember if it was 185 or 240, what aspect ratio was, but I always just felt like I had a natural ability to put people in the right place in frame. Yeah. So, but learning to operate a regular camera or wheels or a remote head or something like that's completely different.
That was my next question. Is like, how do you get to that?
So there's a whole progression of things that happened. I came in as a generation of operators that with Steadicam that initially was just hired to do the Steadicam shots. Yeah. But you'd sit around on set and you'd watch the other operators do their thing.
I remember the main thing for me was like they didn't want to give us information.
Oh, they didn't want to have anything.
Maybe it was just me.
Oh no, I was the young uppity kid making more money than them, and they hated me.
Exactly. And so you were standing in the back, going like, "What are they doing over there?
Yeah,
Why are they
exactly.
doing that?" Yeah.
So I didn't know what the parts were of a dolly, what the options were to take a Fisher 10 and deck it out for walking around it or any of that stuff. But the way things progressed, we worked our way up through the business. I say we because it was a sort of a group of operators who were friends, and there weren't anywhere near as many back then. Like in LA, when I finally got to LA from New York, there were like 20 of us.
Seriously.
So you're hired to do the Steadicam shot, and you pay as much attention as you can. That morphed into, eventually they wanted a B camera operator who could do Steadicam, and they wanted it around all the time. Yeah. So you're usually on the long lens, not moving around too much, and so you get good at the telephoto stuff. But
you remember the first movie you got called for that?
The first one, I did a couple low-budget things. I call them Kung Fu Ninja Vampire Cyborg in the Desert movies, because that's what the story was. Lance Henriksen playing a cyborg who sucked blood out of people with his giant robot arm.
Awesome.
Fantastic stuff, right? Yep. So...
And you remember
5 weeks.
Did you go in and you were just like, I don't know what I'm doing?
I was the Steadicam operator.
Yeah.
The DP was the A operator.
Oh, so no one's
But it was
watching.
mostly Steadicam.
Okay.
So I was running around all the time doing that stuff. And every now and then I'd end up on a shot, long lens or something, or maybe on a wheels shot, just doing a gearhead shot. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
I was going to say, did you go in and practice stuff beforehand, or you just
I
like,
didn't
that's
really,
where you did it?
I ended up getting, once I got in the union, the first action movie I got, because my early movies, it's sort of all action stuff.
Yeah.
So the first action movie I got was thanks to a DP named Theo Van de Sande, who took a chance on a young kid who didn't know what the heck he was doing. And it was a Steven Seagal movie called On Deadly Ground.
I remember. Wait, I remember you were in some ad for something that was like.
Oh yeah, it was an ad for the Alaska State Film Commission.
Alaska State Film Commission. I remember looking
because I was wearing a T-shirt standing on a glacier.
Is it an ad in a magazine?
And it said something like, "You don't have to freeze your snowballs off to shoot in Alaska."
That's right. Yeah. So Steven Seagal's a nice guy to work with, right? Yeah, just fantastic. Yeah. You guys hang out a lot, go out for dinner and whatnot.
But some interesting things happened on that movie, and one of them was Theo got fired.
Oh.
Politics, politics. He's a great guy, didn't deserve to be fired in the least. And he actually said to me, I think it's good for your career to stay here. I think you should stay. Martin Scher was the A operator. He went with Theo because they were... Martin's great.
Amazing.
And I learned a lot from him.
Oh, yeah.
And they both gave me their blessing, said, you should stay and keep doing this because it's going to be good for you.
That's amazing.
But the new DP who came in and said, get rid of all these rubber heads. We're going to be using American stuff. We're using gear heads. And we're doing... Suddenly, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm shooting fight scenes with a gear head. Yeah. And being the B camera, I'm on the longer lens. So it was trial by fire. But the DP, he took a liking to me and helped me.
That's great.
And so I basically learned how to use a gear head by doing that movie.
Wow. That's amazing.
And then for years you work as the B camera Steadicam guy. That was sort of a thing that happened. There were a whole bunch of us who worked our way up that way until we had enough experience. It's time to do the A camera.
And what was your first A camera job?
The Green Mile.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Seriously?
exactly.
Wow.
I was a very, very fortunate kid.
No pressure there.
And I think I just turned 30 or something like that.
Oh, my God. Good Lord.
Yeah, I was very, very fortunate. And it was a fantastic experience. I got a lot of stories from that one because it was also... it was a really good learning environment. Let's put it
Well,
that way.
so here's my question. I've done only a couple days with Tom Hanks, but he's a very nice guy, so at least you've got that going. But you're suddenly thrust into the A camera position, and it's much more than operating. It's politics and all that stuff.
No, it's a whole different beast.
How is it working on? And also, Green Mile was after Shawshank, right?
Yes.
So Frank Darabont was Frank Darabont.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a big.
Frank was great.
This is a big show,
Yeah.
but I mean, there's a lot on you. So how does that political game work, and how do you mentally deal with that?
Looking back on it, I learned so much on that movie. First of all, it was really magnanimous of David Tattersall, the DP, to actually hire me to do it.
You think you were ready for it?
Just barely.
Okay.
Yeah. The grip department did not.
You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. So we had some trouble. This was during the time when it was a Fisher 10 with the troughs. With
Okay,
the
so that's a
track
dolly
wheels.
with the
Yeah.
trough wheels, yeah.
And it was when they were experimenting with the right compound to use for those wheels.
Okay.
They hadn't found it yet.
Okay.
We are having flat spots. Frank wanted to do a lot of shots where he sat still for a long time.
And then started moving.
pushing
Yeah.
in.
So for
And
anybody
you'd
who
see
doesn't know,
bump,
the
bump,
wheels get
bump.
sort of dead spots, and then you get ka-kung, ka-kung, ka-kung,
I mean,
which-
the dolly, and if the focus puller's on it and the operator's on it, you're looking at 600, 700
Something
pounds
like
of
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
So the wheels would go flat. And you start pushing in, and the next time the flat spot comes around, the camera goes bump, bump.
Yeah, good operators can take that out, but you probably couldn't. Yeah.
I wasn't there yet.
Yeah. It's okay. It's
So-
all right. You'll get there, Dave.
I think it was literally day one doing a push-in on Tom Hanks on a 75 millimeter lens, spherical. So that's actually on the longish side.
Yeah.
And you could see the bumps. And it's like, okay, we got to change some. So we're on track, which should be the smoothest way to do it.
Yeah.
Well, let's just come off the troughs and go on the Fisher 10 wheels right on the track.
Yeah.
Bump, 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 bump.
Jesus.
All right, let's come off of that and go on planks.
Did you say this day one?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Bump, 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 bump. I'm seeing the bumps. Now, not everyone on the monitor is seeing it. Back then, people were looking at little black and white 9-inch monitors.
It's worth pointing out. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't see much on the monitor.
You've
And
got
they actually, there was a point. Do you remember the point where they used to say to the operator, how was that? And
Yeah.
our input actually mattered?
Exactly.
And now, I don't know about you, but I look back and go, how was that?
There was
Because they can see it better than we can.
The slogan for the SOC, the Society of Camera Operators, used to be "We see it first." And once it went to digital, my proposal was we change it to "We see it worst." You can't tell.
My thought was we see it also. But anyway, yes. Yeah.
You'd be pushing in and you hear someone in a booth going, "Soft, it's soft."
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't tell.
I know. But anyway, so you're pushing in
And we're having all these problems with bumps. Anyway, the dolly grip thinks I'm out of my mind. The
Of
key
course.
grips thinks I'm out of my mind. So anyway, pressure's building up. What's up with this kid? In the middle of one of the push-in, Tom actually stopped in the middle of the take, looked into the lens and said, "Dave, how old are you?"
Oh my God.
And I kind of looked around the eyepiece. I was like, old enough? I don't know how to answer this. I'm just going to hide behind the camera.
Oh, God.
And so it was being an interesting day. And this next story can get a little long, so I'll try to cut it short.
If you don't, I'll cut it short afterwards.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You help me, yes. So on that day, we're doing a scene in the prison guard's office. And we've done the wide master shot. All the prison guards come in and they're talking about John Coffey, the character who's the center of all the attention, played by Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah.
Love that man. So sad he's gone. Okay, you can cut that out too.
No, we'll leave that in.
So we've done the master of everyone coming in, and Tom sits down at his desk. Dave Morse comes in, sits at a chair off to the side. They talk. Now it's time to do the coverage. We're back on our 75. So the first shot we're doing is Dave Morse. We're panning him in, sitting him down. Dave Morse is 9.5 feet tall.
Yep.
Great guy, fantastic actor. I had no idea what he was going to do. From one take to the next.
Okay.
He'd come in and he'd drop like a rock, and I'd lose him out of my frame, tilt down. Ooh,
And
okay.
what most people who don't operate know, if you're 9.5 feet tall, it means you have a 6.5 foot torso, so that when you sit down, you move 8.5 feet forward.
Oh, yeah,
So
he's all over the
sitting
place.
people down is
And,
very, very hard. Yeah.
When you've got a pretty tight
tight
frame.
lens,
And,
yeah.
and Green Mile is shot very tight. It's a lot of telephoto close-ups. So I blow the first take, and I hear Frank back at the monitors. "You okay, Dave?" He's like, "I'll get it on the next one."
Like you lose his head completely?
Yeah,
or,
lose him a little bit out of frame,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
chop him,
Okay.
and then catch up with him again. Sit downs, that's a tough thing. I'm on a gearhead. Next take, he comes in. I think he's going to go. It looks like he's going, so I I jumped the gun.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he goes, and I miss him again.
Oh, God.
I think I blew 3 takes in a row before Tom Hanks, off to my left, who's doing off-camera dialogue, says, it would appear our young operator has not finished his correspondence course yet.
Oh, my God.
And my heart rate goes up, my temperature goes up, my focus puller, Heather Page, looks at me with kind of wide eyes and goes, ooh, that's not good.
Oh, jeez.
Like, geez, okay. So I took Dave Morris around the side behind the set and was like, I need some help. You're doing something different every take, and I get it. I don't want to impinge on your performance, but I'm not getting it. And so if you don't give me some kind of consistency or let me know what you're going to do, we're not going to get that performance. So just give me a hint what's going to happen. He's, I'll be more consistent. He was very nice about it.
He was cool about it.
Oh, he was very cool about it. And then totally forgot it, did something completely different, and I blew the next take.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So my blood pressure's going through the roof. Eventually, I got it. 2 or 3 takes, we get it, and we move on. But so now it's time to shoot Tom's close-up.
Oh, God.
I should jump back in time to one of the jobs I did with Ted Churchill where I was his apprentice. It was a movie called Punchline, starring Tom Hanks. The A-camera operator was fired that day because he couldn't do a sit-down.
You were the B camera, steady camera? Or no,
No, I was the apprentice.
Oh, you were the apprentice. Sorry.
I was just the apprentice. I was watching, and the guy had just moved up to A-camera operator.
Okay, yeah.
Tom Hanks had to come in, sit down on a stool at the diner.
Oh, my God. So
And the guy kept blowing the
So you've
the
seen
take,
this movie before.
and the guy got fired.
Oh,
yeah,
geez.
exactly. So this is all going through my head. So it's time to pan Tom in and sit him down at the desk. And this is an audio medium, so I can't really demonstrate what he did, but I can try and tell you. He came in, leaned way to his left, leaned way to his right, jumped up on his toes, and dropped like a rock.
Oh, jeez.
But I was sort of so ready for something like that to happen that I said, whoosh, bam, nailed it. You could never use it. It was a terrible shot.
Because of
he's doing something ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I just kept my head down. I didn't even look at him, and I heard Frank go, "You okay there, Dave?" I go, "Yep, got it." Next take. Tom comes in and just, bam, drops like a rock.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Uh-huh.
And I got it. Next take, he comes in, stops halfway down, pops back up again, drops again.
So he's totally screwing.
Totally
He's
screwing with it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So after 3 takes in a row of that, there's this long pause, and he says, "Okay, it would appear our young camera operator has completed his correspondence course, and we can get on with making the movie."
Wow.
But from that day forward, he was my best friend, would do anything necessary for camera. He called it camera logic. Or, if it made sense through the camera, he would do it. And there are scenes in that movie where he has tears pouring down his face, and Michael Kirk Duncan has his hand, he's got him gripped by the collar, and he's pulling him against the bars, and the whole time, Tom is doing it with a Groucho crouch walk because there was a horizontal bar at his eye level.
Oh my
in the
gosh.
jail cell.
And he's just going,
so
where do I
he
have
said,
to be?
All right, does it work like this? We'll do it like this.
Wow.
And I did a couple other movies with him afterwards too, but he was great after that. And
That's amazing.
That was my trial by fire, and I managed to get through it. It was a hell of a day, though.
Wow. I'm like sweating listening to that. That's insane. So let me ask you a question. Maybe you don't know this because this was such a long time ago, but for people who are younger getting into the business or moving up, how do you take that desire to run out of the room crying and call your mother and put it in a box and do the next take? I mean, because the thing is, it seems like I'd just be like, oh, clearly I can't do this, and then it's dominoes, right?
It's got to be due to steps. Because everybody who's started somewhere had problems and solved them.
Okay.
So the problems I had on the Kung Fu Vampire Ninja Cyborg in the Desert movies led me to the ability to solve problems on something else, TV show or a
So it's
TV
just
pilot or
relying on
something.
all the stuff that's built up to that point.
Yeah, it's all experience. And by the time even though I was young, I had been doing Steadicam and moving cameras around for a long time.
Yep.
And I knew where the camera should be. I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I just didn't always know how to do it. And I relied on, in many cases, more experienced dolly grips to help me figure out how to do what it was that needed to be done.
So when you first came in and you're on A-camera and you're doing big dolly shots, do you cop to the dolly grip and go, look, you've been doing this forever. I don't know.
I absolutely did that. When I started on, what was it? I was B camera operator on Armageddon, and Brad Ray was my dolly grip.
Oh my gosh.
And he's one of the best.
He's one of the best. Yeah.
I just basically, I said to him, look, I'm not going to tell you how to do this. You know more about this than I ever will.
Yeah.
You tell me how we should set the dolly up, what makes sense, and I'll just learn from you. And he thought that was great.
And he wasn't offended by that.
Not in the least.
Yeah.
No, not
That's
at all.
great.
He thought that was great. In fact, he and Johnny Mang, another
great
fantastic
dolly
dolly grip, came out to a workshop we taught not too long ago at Cinemoves.
Oh yeah, I was out there.
Okay. Yeah. And they talked about
working with
what it takes.
operators.
It's a team.
Yep.
They want to solve the same problems you do.
Yep.
And I actually thank Brad for teaching me how to ride a dolly when I was a young operator.
That's
and
amazing.
He was very appreciative of that.
For anybody who hasn't seen it, you should go check out the breakdown that David did for Armageddon, where he was flying through the air and almost took Bruce Willis's head off. It's quite fascinating. And I'm not going to ask you to tell that here because I want people to go see it.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, by the end of that movie, are you pretty much like, I am an A camera operator? Like
I did feel that way, actually.
Yeah.
I felt like I'd managed to,
I
said, trial by fire.
Yeah.
It was a long shoot.
Yep.
And by the end of it, I thought, okay, I've actually got a pretty good handle on this.
Yeah.
Not that I've learned everything or know everything. That would be really boring. I still learn something on every job.
Uh-huh.
There's always somebody who's got something interesting to show you.
Yeah.
But as my confidence developed, you get more and more comfortable doing it. And
Yeah.
Chris will laugh about this. Chris is in the audience sitting right over there, but I say this at every workshop we do. It's when I like to talk about distilling the operator's job down to its most, the barest element of what it is we do.
Yeah.
And it's basically putting the camera in the right place at the right time.
That's very good.
That's it.
I like it.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah. It's just figuring out how to do that.
How do you do it?
Yeah.
And you've got to either, maybe you're a Steadicam operator and you're pretty much responsible for doing it yourself. It appeals to the control freak and those of us that like to do it. And I am a control freak. But I also love doing it with a Technocrane or a dolly when you've got a talented dolly grip doing a multi-point move on a dance floor.
Yep.
You know, it's fantastic. And the teamwork that goes into figuring that all out, that is basically your job. And you can expand that to whether you're using a drone,
Yep.
a helicopter,
It's all the
50-foot
same, right?
techno.
It's just moving-
Yeah, you're
it's
just
moving
trying to
through
figure
space.
out how to tell the story by putting the camera in the right place.
I like that.
At the
You
right
also told me earlier when we were talking about how you describe Steadicam,
What did I say?
the pizza.
Oh, that was Chris's. Chris Harhoff came
again.
up.
Chris Harhoff.
Yeah, he
But,
described Steadicam as imagine you have a giant silver waiter's tray strapped to your waist, sticking out with a bowling ball stuck in the middle of it, and you got to run around the set with that and keep that bowling ball right there in the middle.
It's
and,
pretty accurate.
Yeah, if you lean forward, it's going to fall off the front.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So at some point, more recently, you work with James Cameron on Avatar, which was a little different than what most people do, or Avatar 2 and 3, right?
I did the live action on the first one.
You did a live action on the first
And
one.
I did a lot of the virtual camera stuff on 2
Tell
and
me
3.
about the virtual camera, because most people don't know anything. I mean, or they, have never done anything like that. What's that like?
It's not all that interesting. It really isn't.
Yeah.
Let's see how to make this sound more interesting than it is.
No, you don't have to. But you were telling me that you guys go and capture like everything, and then after the fact, you go on a computer and basically do Technocrane shots.
Okay, I'll try and distill it down as short as I can. Yeah. So you've got the performance capture phase, where all the actors go in their funny little skin tight suits with ping pong balls all over the place, and the performance is captured in the computer.
Yep.
There's reference photography that's done so that you can see what the actors actually did.
Uh-huh.
But there's no point of view applied to the scene yet. It's all captured in a computer and exists there in its entirety.
Yeah.
You can pan around it and look at it from any point of view, zoom into it, zoom out.
Yeah.
So once that first performance capture phase is done, then you move on to applying cameras to it. There's actually a lot of work that goes on in between those two.
Yeah.
Because Jim will do something like, I liked his performance in take 3, but I liked his arm motion in take 5. So stitch those together.
Good God.
So there's a lot of compiling that goes on
In between,
before.
before you get back in there.
So, and then it's actually mostly Jim who does the cameras,
really?
for the most part. I will, when they're doing the performance capture, I would sit there with a virtual camera and apply a point of view to the scene, but it's really just a reference.
Okay.
That's not the shot Jim plans to have in the movie.
Yeah.
Jim will do those shots by himself when I say by himself, I just mean it's him out on the stage. There's 100 people with computers working behind the scenes. And he'll perform the moves with the little virtual camera, which is basically a monitor with joysticks on it and a tracking device so that the camera computer system knows where it is in space. But that thing has no mass to it to speak of. It doesn't have the weight a Panaflex does or a 3D camera rig does.
Sure.
So after the fact, once he's picked his shots, cut stuff together, I would get handed the shots and he would say, make that look like a handheld shot, make it look like a Steadicam shot, make it look like handheld from a helicopter.
So how do you do that?
A lot of it was actually just reanimating the move.
But I mean, are you actually like operating?
Nope. I know that a lot of movies have been done that way, like Jungle Book, the stuff Spielberg did when he did BFG and things like that. I know Mitch Dubin, they operated with actual camera equipment on stage.
And so are you sitting down in front of a computer and doing it? Wow.
Yeah. And sometimes I've got wheels and I can reoperate shots with the wheels if I really want to do it that way. But quite often it was just manipulating the existing moves.
That does sound unbelievably boring.
But you know what? It was a great job that I could do remotely from my home during COVID.
Oh, that's true. How many years did you do that for?
2.
Okay. I want to ask you about some specific movies now.
Okay.
Bad Times at the El Royale.
That was a really fun shoot.
Most people have not seen this. I think it's on Netflix or
it probably
Amazon
is.
Or something like that.
Didn't get, I don't know if it was just not promoted well. It just didn't make a big splash.
It's a really good movie, and I'll tell you more importantly, it's visually just gorgeous. Like the work you did in that movie is so unbelievable. It's
well, thank you very much. But the reason the movie looks so good, it starts at the top with Drew Goddard, the director. Seamus McGarvey is the DP, fabulously talented man. And then Martin Wiss designed these amazing sets.
Amazing.
And I don't know if you've seen the movie, but the entire hotel, the lobby interior, many of the rooms, and the parking lot outside where it rains is all built in a soundstage.
That's nuts.
And it just looks great. And they had some really imaginative things they wanted to do. And I was lucky enough to have Ryan Monroe as my dolly grip. And he's, one of the best I've
There's
ever
one
worked
really
with.
cool dolly shot that's like, is it behind the walls that goes between
looking through the
different
windows.
rooms? I thought that was so
It's 5
cool.
minutes long.
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes long, and it totally works.
Yeah.
Like you would think it wouldn't, and it doesn't. After a while, you're like, is this still going? But it's so fascinating.
Drew they designed the set for that shot, and Drew
Seriously?
they actually had that shot plotted out before they'd even hired the DP.
Wow.
They had it, they sent me a video they were going to do it on a techno dolly. So they sent me a video of this techno dolly shot doing all this fancy stuff, and they were going to do the whole shot motion control, which would have meant the actors in all those rooms had to be locked into the exact same positions every take.
Yeah.
And after about a week of working on the movie, when we knew this shot was coming up, Seamus looked at what Ryan, the dolly grip, was able to do and what I was doing with him, and he said, these guys can just do it.
That's amazing.
And so it was a Pee-wee. It was a Pee-wee dolly with a Libra head on it.
Yeah.
And Ryan, that shot is really Ryan's
I was going to
masterpiece.
say, it's kind of all him.
It's all dolly
nothing
grip.
against you.
Yeah.
You were
Oh, no,
probably in the
absolutely.
room,
I had
but-
the easy job on that one.
Yeah, it's amazing. You should see this movie. It's really good. It's visually,
Ryan
it's
has
a treat.
actually headed towards Steadicam. I don't know how he's doing, but I know he took one of the workshops at Chris
Oh, no
Haroff's
way.
place.
Well, he's
Yeah.
probably really good,
I would think so.
imagine.
He also does all of. He might even be in Christopher Nolan's contract. He does all the Nolan stuff.
That's not bad.
Hmm.
Catch Me If You Can.
That was the one time I was perfectly happy to go back to doing B camera after I'd moved it up to A camera, because who doesn't want to do a Steven Spielberg movie?
Yeah, right.
Mitch Dubin asked me to do that. Chris Haroff had been doing the previous Spielberg movies, and he was doing something else. So my name got put in the hat, and it was a great experience. I had a lot of fun on that one. I think it was only 47 days of shooting.
It seemed like it was just like a really bare bones movie. It was just back to storytelling, which is why I loved it.
I mean,
so
that even
much.
included going to New York, Montreal, Quebec,
That's amazing.
and something like 3 locations a day in Los Angeles.
When you're working with Spielberg, is that like, are you amazed by everything, or is it just sort of normal and he's good? Like, you know what I mean? Does he come down and he's like, I want to be down here, and you're like, that's genius, or is it just like really?
I think his
normal
genius
filmmaking?
lies in his ability to block a scene better than anybody I've ever seen
There's
before.
no question about that. And so here's my question about that is he coming in with it, or is it he's coming in and he's watching the actors and figuring it out on the fly because he's so good at
I believe he does both.
it? Yeah.
He would come in the morning and he would drive in a big, back then it was the Ford Excursion.
Okay.
He had a huge one that they'd drive him to work in, and they had a big screen TV in the back of it. And he'd watch movies on his way to the set. And he'd get out of the vehicle and say, I was just watching Bridge on the River Kwai. We need more wide shots. We're doing everything today. It's going to be wide, wide, wide. And we'd do a bunch of wide shots for the day.
Oh, that's so cool.
But he also would just get to the set, look around and work things out. He'd get there before everybody. I learned that you needed to be there early.
Yeah.
He'd get there early and line things up, and he doesn't waste time. He shoots what he needs. He's the boss. No one's going to tell him what to do. So he shoots the coverage he needs. He doesn't waste time shooting a scene from every different angle, which is what slows a lot of productions down.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting thing to watch and learn from, because it is a different way of making movies. He has it down, and that's
pretty cool.
He's really good at it. Yeah.
By that point, you'd been an 8-camera operator for years and years, right?
Yeah.
Were you nervous going into that?
Yeah, probably, but I don't remember it that way.
Okay. Do you still get nervous when you start a job?
I don't.
Can you tell me you do? That would make me feel
I think
better.
what it is once you've gained, or I feel once I gained enough experience and it gave me confidence, it gave me the ability to fail.
What do you mean?
And not worry about it.
Okay.
If I screw something up, I can stand up and go, wow, I screwed that up. That didn't work
really
at all.
Sucked. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It's weird when you get to that point, right? Like there's a whole freedom that you go, like, I should have done this a long time ago.
Absolutely. The easiest way to take pressure off a situation when a director jumps up and goes, oh, this is work, blah, blah, blah. I say, yeah, I screwed that up. I won't do that next time. I've got a fix for it. Watch this, see if this works.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of time and experience to get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there were plenty of years where I was thinking, oh, God, I hope they don't discover that I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Because imposter syndrome is real.
It's a real
right?
thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Completely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I mean, there are definitely, there are times where I'll get called for stuff and I'm still like, why are they calling me?
The times I was nervous were the first time I had to do a Technicrane shot.
Oh, yeah.
And I hadn't done, I played around with it a little bit, but to actually do a big coordinated Technicrane shot, I hadn't. There weren't workshops where you could go learn how to do that kind of stuff. And I would ask A operators, how'd you learn how to do this? And the story was invariably, you get dumped on it and you have to come up with the shot. You have to make it work.
And do you remember, did you basically just rely on your dolly grip and the guy in the pickle and go just put the camera where it needs to be? Or were you able to actually
I've got pretty good,
out?
My brain works with geometry and spatial things really well. I can see where a crane needs to go. It's always been really good at that. But yes, in the beginning,
my thing was always, and I think it's because either we're Steadicam operators because we have this ability, or we have this ability because we became Steadicam operators. But I can visualize cameras moving through space. But my thing was like, but there's this thing attached to it that I'm not quite sure where it should go or whatever. So I would always sort of BS and go, I think it should go over there, but what do you think? And then
it's always a discussion with the key grip, the dolly grip, and the DP figuring out where it should go. But every now and then there's been situations where I've kind of gone, guys, you don't need all that fancy stuff. You can just put the base there and you'll be able to reach there. It's a 50-footer.
It's like, oh, that works.
That worked, yeah.
That's always
But the other things, the opposite happens. Sometimes you have an idea for something and you think, oh, it's got to be this way. And the dolly grip might go, dude, there's a much simpler way to do this. You go, oh, great.
So you've worked with a ton of big name actors, obviously. You mentioned one of them who ended up liking you, but it could have gone a different way. Any advice for younger operators on working with tough actors? Method actors? Actors who aren't happy with you?
Treat them like people.
Okay.
They are not, they're not gods. And they usually want to be related to as people.
That's actually what I find more than anything.
Yeah.
Is like actually most of them want you to treat them like a
The
person.
one that got me was I was doing the one Tony Scott movie I got to do.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Oh, it was great.
What's cool? What?
His bad one. His really, really bad one. The
sorry.
Fan.
Oh, okay. Well, you still get to work with Tony Scott.
I got, you know what?
Oh, I
it was
know
a great
this story.
experience.
This is a great story.
We were on an insert car in San Francisco. We were towing a Humvee, which was already, just the Humvee alone was heavier than the weight the trailer could carry.
Right.
We had 2 dollies on it because we had one in the front and one moving on the side. And rain towers, because we were actually making rain on the move while we drove around. So the thing was way overloaded. and we actually had 2 insert cars to tow it because we'd overheat the engine on every take. So they'd swap them out.
Good Lord.
The grooves in the street are actually still there from where we bottomed out.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But, it's worth pointing out, by the way, this was probably a big budget movie. This wasn't some low budget movie.
Those were the tools they had.
People screw up all the time.
Those were the tools they had. It ended up working. But I was doing a shot through the window over Robert De Niro to his son who's sitting in the passenger seat. So De Niro's supposed to be driving.
Yeah.
Actually, sorry, that wouldn't have been the Hummer. That would have been a van.
Well, now I just don't believe anything you say.
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah.
The Humvee was Wesley Snipes' vehicle. So it's like a 10-passenger van type thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, shooting across De Niro through the driver's side window to the kid. And during the takes, De Niro keeps leaning forward and blocking the kid.
So your shot's screwed.
So my shot's screwed.
Yeah.
So after the first take, I think, all right, the director's going to be pretty pissed at me because this isn't working. I should do something about this. But I was nervous. It's De Niro. It's the first day I'm working with him.
Yeah, right.
What do I say to Robert De Niro?
Yeah.
So I go back to look at the monitor, and Tony kind of goes, you're going to do something about that? Okay, yeah. So, Mr. De Niro, call me Bobby. All right, that's a good start. So I tell him what's going on, and he says, well, if I lean forward and block the kid, just reach through the window and tap me on the shoulder. I was like, what?
But you're Robert De Niro.
Middle of a take? It's like, okay.
Because he just wants to get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So in the next take, we're driving around, rain pouring down, scraping noises all over the place, and he leans forward and blocks the kid, and I thought, all right, I'm either going home or this is going to work. And I reach through the window, and it tap, 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 and he leans back. And we keep shooting, and over the course of the scene, he leans forward again. I'm like, all right, here you go again. Reach through and tap, tap, tap. And he leans back and clears. And at the end of the take, he goes, cool, we get it. Is that all right? Yeah. Excellent. Great.
Oh, my God, that's great.
And I thought,
that's how this
he's
works.
He's just a guy who wants to get through the day's work.
Also, by the way, he realizes, obviously, it's not his shot, it's the kid's shot. Yeah. Right? So he doesn't want to mess up
and it doesn't hurt the
shot
coming through the front of the vehicle if he's sitting back a little bit.
Yeah.
So
that's fantastic.
It was it was kind of a revelation. And I was a shy kid, and you got to pull yourself out of your shell if you're going to go up and tell Angelina Jolie you're missing your mark.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
but you have to. But the thing is, that's also your job. That's
exactly.
the weird thing. It's like I'm supposed to do what? But these are like, who's this? My story of that, because this podcast is really about me. I did the movie Wedding Crashers. Christopher Walken was in it, and the first day that he did it, for whatever reason, I was not. I think I had a wedding or something. I don't know what I had, but I wasn't there his first day. So I come back, next day, and he's in the scene, and I had never met him. So I go up to him, and I have a thing with actors where I usually, when the time is right, I always say hello and introduce myself. I'm sure you do too. And I have a thing where I usually go, just 2 quick questions. What do you like to be called, and do you like frame sizes? And the reason I ask them that is, A, it'll help me, and also I can usually tell by their responses how we're going to be, or who they are, what I mean? And so I said, Mr. Walken, Dave Comides, blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't here yesterday, and I said, just 2 quick questions. What do you like to be called? And do you like frame sizes? And he goes, frame sizes? Nah, I don't care. I said, okay, and is it Christopher or Mr. Walken? And he turns around and he goes, Flash. And I looked at him, and I'm sorry. And he goes, Flash, you can call me Flash, Dave. And I was like, okay. And I walked away, and I'm like, I am not calling this nut job Flash. And I'm walking back, and we do the shot and whatever. And then we do the next shot, and he's, ironically, this is what made me think of it. He's leaning in. It's Rachel McAdams' shot, and he's leaning in, and so I we finished the take, and I, Christopher, Mr. Walken, Flash, yeah, Dave, and I was like, Flash, would you mind leaning back? Oh, was I blocking Rachel? Yeah, absolutely, Flash, you were blocking Rachel there, Flash, and oh yeah, I won't do that. Anything for you, Dave. And he turns back, really, and I'm thinking, this guy's categorically insane, but very cool. And everybody's looking at me, and I'm like, we go way back. And the funny thing is, nobody else called him Flash.
Seriously?
No, it's not like he asked other people to call him Flash.
Hysterical.
I don't know whether he was screwing with me or not, but that is the only thing that he would respond to from me.
That's so funny.
And I mean, I'd walk by the trailer and I'd be like, hey, Flash, hey, Dave, and it was just like, all right, whatever. I don't know what it came from. I don't know if it was something he did to other people or just came out there, but I was like, and he was great. But it's just like the same thing where you're like, I can't call this guy Flash. And that's what he wanted me to call him from. So there you go.
Funny.
Back to you. So you're an established A camera operator now. You work with a lot of B camera operators. What do you expect from your B camera operator?
First of all, I would never call them my B camera operator.
What do you expect from my B camera operator? Yeah.
Stay out of my way. No,
Okay,
it's all part of a team, right? We're all trying to do the same thing. So I'm happy to work with the B camera operator, but I like it when a B camera operator is creative and motivated and wants to get things on their own. Mm-hmm. But I will always talk to them to make sure we're on the same page about, okay, do you understand, the lighting? Just, if they're already established, I'm not going to have this conversation. But you never want the B camera operator going, I got a great shot over here, selling it to the director when it's in flat front light or something like that. So I'll pay attention to what they're doing a little bit on the first day, and if they seem like they know what they're doing, I basically leave them alone. And if we stay out of each other's shots, great. If we're in danger of being in each other's shots, discuss, okay, can you shorten up your dolly track a little there, or I can shorten this move up here a little, or something like that. Work with them. But I rarely am talking about shots with the B camera operator. Usually that person is talking to the director and the DP. Yeah. And I think it's because when I was doing B camera, that's the way the people I was working with treated me. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of value in that, because the reality is the A camera operator, you have so much going on. You have very little time for that.
Oh,
You're just
absolutely.
Look, just don't screw up and make it better and whatever. But you said something interesting, which actually I would say to anybody who's a B camera operator, don't ever do, which is don't sell a shot to the director.
Right. Go through the DP.
Go through the
first.
DP, or go to the A camera operator and say, should I sell this? Do not let the director know, because then the director goes, oh, that's great. And it's like, yeah, it's the other side of the line. And now we're going to have to relight, and the AD is going to and you're off the show. Yeah. So, that's all great advice. My favorite thing, and this happens every once in a while with great B camera operators, where it's like, I've got a Steadicam shot that literally is like, I'm on the helicopter and I step off and I'm coming out, and then I go down the escalator into the balls of the hotel, and this huge thing, and it's a 9.5 minute shot. And the B camera operator has found like a sandbag in the corner that tells the story much better than I can ever do.
Absolutely. I've worked with Sean Levy several times, and there was a movie that Mauro Fiore shot called Real Steel, and Sean loved the B camera shots. Stack it up on the long lens with the twinkly lights in the background. Lens, exactly. And Maurice McGuire was the B camera operator, and he got the nickname Passion, because Sean was like, he's got so much passion. His shots are so great.
That's great.
And I'd go over to the monitors to see what Sean thought of the crane shot, and he'd go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know. I was looking at B camera. It's so great." And eventually, I looked at him and I said, "Look, Maurice will get you the shots you like. I will get you the shots you need." Yeah. And
that's great.
The whole movie kind of went that way.
That's great.
So Sean looked at me at one point and said, "Well, you need a nickname. What do you want?" I said, "I'm Conviction."
I like that.
So we were Passion and Conviction.
That's great. Yeah. Actually, for anybody who wants to see it, David did a great breakdown of a Stranger Things shot that he did for Sean Levy, right? Yeah. On the website. And I actually just did second unit on the end of Stranger Things, which you had done like a month before with a bunch of them. And a bunch of them would be like, well, David wouldn't have done this way. I'm like, well, you should call him back, but I'm doing it this way. But it's like your name came up quite often and very positively. So it was like, Yeah. We talked about this before. What's the worst movie you've ever worked on?
It's entirely possible that the worst movie I ever did is the best job I ever took.
Really?
Yes. It's the movie where I met my wife.
I know that. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
And the movie was?
It's called Man of the House, starring Tommy Lee Jones. He plays a Texas Ranger who's protecting 5 cheerleaders from Texas University in the Witness Protection Program.
This has just like huge movie written all over it.
My wife played his partner, Texas Ranger, with the big cap, the cowboy hat and the gun belt, and as she says, she was clothed in nougat. Yeah. But best thing that ever happened to me. And it's funny because there are movies that I've wished I could have done. Mm-hmm. I had to say no to Conrad Hall, and that's one of those things that
you mean, and that because you were on this movie?
No, for other reasons. Just I got a call. I got a call. And I was like, oh my God, I'm talking to Conrad Hall.
Right.
And he's asking me to do a movie, and I can't do it. And
just don't tell me it was Searching for Bobby Fischer.
It wasn't.
Oh, good. Okay, I feel better.
It was American Beauty.
Oh my God.
The one where he thanked his operator on stage when he got the Oscar.
Good Lord.
But, there's moments where you think, oh, I really regret not being able to do that.
Yeah,
but, and I'm willing to bet for the most part, this can apply to anybody's career. I wouldn't change anything that has happened in my career because it led me to where I am now.
Right.
And I am very happy. I'm very fortunate. And I'm married to the most wonderful woman in the world. And there are so many weird little branches that could have changed and I would never have met her.
Absolutely.
So I'm very happy that I took that really horrible movie.
Yeah. Now, do you guys watch it on your anniversary every year?
No, but what's funny is the one time we did see it was when it first came out. It was in the Cinerama Dome of all places.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And we went in there and there were two other people. And when the movie was over, when they stood up, I recognized one of them as the guy who gave the safety classes. And he looked at me and said, "What's your excuse for being on this movie?" And I said, "I was in the credits and so is she and we got married. What's your excuse for being here?"
I've got a better excuse than you've got. Wow. I'm gonna come back to me for a second. The first movie I ever had a credit in was at the Cinerama Dome, and I may have you beat because it was Leprechaun 2.
Ooh.
Actually, sorry, that's not true. That's not true. The first movie I had a credit as a Steadicam operator.
Okay.
I had a credit in the movie Tremors, and we saw that in Connecticut, and that was a whole other thing. But as a PA, but as a Steadicam operator, and I went in, and there was one other person, and I remember.
But you got to see your name on the Cinerama Dome
I got to see
screen.
all of my horrible Steadicam work, and I got to see my name on the screen, and it answered a lot of questions left over from Leprechaun 1, which really had been bothering me. But it created a lot of questions, which meant that Leprechaun 3 in 3D had to happen. So it's a plus and minus situation. But it's funny that like these crappy movies that we did that were much more important to you, that one, but was important to me, were at the Cinerama Dome.
Oh, exactly. But seeing there is a thrill seeing your name go up.
Yeah.
The crawl.
There's no question about it in front of everybody, and it's unbelievable. Now I know I've heard rumors of this happening. I don't know that it actually happens. I've heard that there are times on set where the DP and the director might not get along. Is this something that are you aware of this?
I
don't believe
doozies.
it. But okay, yeah. You ever deal with it, and how do you deal with it?
Earlier in my career, I dealt with it sort of by sticking my head in the sand and just moving forward.
I used to do that too.
Because you don't have the experience, you don't have
Yeah.
the gravitas, you don't have the weight behind you of your career to lend you the authority to smack them into shape.
No, it's exactly right. And you're literally like, I respect Dad, but Mom hires me, so I don't know what to do now.
I had a moment on, and I'll name names on this one because I don't think either of them would be bothered if I did. It was just a funny moment. Very early in my career, Bob Richardson gave me a very big break and hired me to be the B camera Steadicam operator on Nixon for Oliver Stone.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So there was a scene that Oliver wanted done handheld in the Oval Office with Anthony Hopkins coming in, and it was going to be frantic. And so he wanted that to be handheld. Bob operated his own A camera as he does. So if it was handheld, it was Bob. So they set it. They did the rehearsals, and Bob said, "Okay, now we'll light and figure it all out." And Oliver went out to his trailer, and Bob turned to me and said, "Set up the Steadicam." I was like, "Thought it was handheld." He said, "Nah, I don't want to carry that damn thing around all day. So you're gonna do the Steadicam, okay?" So when Oliver came back, he saw me wearing the Steadicam, and he goes, "Oh, did Bob just wuss out on this one? What happened?" And he came up to me and he said, "This is supposed to be handheld." I was like, "Yeah, I do." And he goes, and this was a very strange conversation. He said, "Are your peers aware that you're good at what you do?" And I was like, "I don't." He said, "Are you comfortable with your position as a Steadicam operator?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Good, because I want you to make this to look like the worst, shittiest Steadicam that's ever been done.
Handheld
It's got to look
Steadicam.
like handheld. It's got to be all messed up, and it's got to be terrible." Like, oh, okay. Right. So he walks off. Bob Richardson overheard the whole thing, and right before we roll camera, he comes up to me and goes, "It's got to look smooth and steady. It's got to be nice." And he walks away. And I was like, "You can't."
So what did you do?
I went fast because we didn't know that Oliver had gone and told Anthony Hopkins to come blasting through the door. So Henry Turrell was my focus puller on that
by
day.
the way, I just heard who that whole crew was, and it's like
it's
superstars
unbelievable.
on that camera crew.
Oh, absolutely.
It was Gregor and Henry. Henry was your second, right?
He was
Or
my
your
my focus puller for a while.
And who was your second?
Suzanne Trucks.
Yeah, and
She was on
Shelley
it.
Clayton was on
Yeah,
there. I mean,
yep,
it's like,
Shelley was there.
Unbelievable. But anyway.
So Anthony Hopkins comes
Yeah.
bursting through the door, and you'll see there's a nice buzz there because Henry's like, "Oh my god!" And we're moving around the room so fast that it had a frantic energy.
Okay.
That wasn't because I was shaking the camera.
It was just like, hold on.
And I just kept my mouth shut, and nobody said anything, and we just kept doing it, and I was like, okay, that worked. Cut to much later in my career. Did a movie not too long ago where the director and DP were absolutely not on the same page, and I was wearing a headset, which I don't like wearing them during this during
worst.
shooting, but I'd been asked, please wear it for this shot.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. So I had the headset on, and the DP is in a tent telling me what to do, and the director's standing right next to me looking at the monitor telling me to do the opposite. And I know why each one of them wants to do it. The DP wants me to move one direction so that it'll be more backlight. The director wants me to move the other direction so it'll be more on the eye line. So I understand what they're
they both have valid reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they're not talking to each other. So I've got the yelling in the ear going, no, go the other way. And eventually I just took the headset off, threw it across the set, put the Steadicam down, said, that's it. You come out of your tent, you come over here, you guys talk to each other, you work it out. I'm not doing this. And there's no way in hell I would have done that.
Well, but like you
20
said,
years ago.
that's because you've come to the point where I can fail and it's okay.
Exactly.
Right?
And
Yeah.
quite frankly, at that point in that movie, if they'd fired me, I would have said, thank you.
It sort of sounds like that. Yeah, so two good ways of dealing with that.
Politics is the best way to try first. You
Yeah.
know, a talk. You want to actually have a discussion with them, ideally together, or you have to go to each one individually and say, you guys are not on the same page, and I'm getting caught in the middle because I may have been hired by the DP.
Yep.
Sometimes you're hired by the director, but I think
Usually
more
it's the
often you're
DP.
hired by the
Yeah,
DP.
and neither way, you work for the DP.
You work for the
regardless of
director.
which.
So
Yeah.
if the director tells you to do something, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it
Yep.
works.
Yeah. And what about working with the AD, first AD?
I've been very fortunate. Rarely had an AD that wasn't on their game and really good at what they did. And I've almost never gotten into fights with ADs. But that does remind me, you had a question you sent me about cadences and countdowns.
The question that I was going to ask you about, because this always frustrating me, is like you go, hey, can you give me an and action? They're sure. And they're like, and action. It's just like,
ready,
I don't think
and
or it's the other
go.
way. Yeah, right?
My favorite, it wasn't actually an AD who did this, but there are two really good, these are short, two very good cadence or countdown screw-up stories.
Yeah.
And they both involve Michael Bay.
Okay.
So
I didn't even
the
ask
first
about
one,
Michael Bay.
we're doing a big crane move, 50-foot Technocrane. Moose is on the crane.
Okay, Moose
Who's
Schultz,
best.
amazing.
Moose Schultz,
By the way,
fantastic.
listen to the podcast with him. It's incredible.
Yes. So Michael is cueing the crane move, and he's saying, ready and crane. And we do the big move. Couple of takes. Ready and crane. Do the big move. Take 4 maybe. Ready and crane later. And of course the crane's
It's
already
already
off and
going.
moving.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah,
like, why are you moving? I said later. And Moose is, it doesn't work that way, Michael. So,
But Moose can do that.
yeah, Moose can do that. Exactly. And then the other one was setting off a bunch of explosives.
Oh, geez.
And they're supposed to go off on 1.
Yep.
Michael's going to count 3, 2, 1, action. And he wants the explosives to go on 1. 3, 2, 1,
Okay.
action. So it's really pointed to the effects guy. On 1. When I say 1, you set everything off. Roll cameras. This is Michael. 1, 2, 3, action. And he set them off on 1.
Yeah, sure.
So too early, and Michael's blowing up. It's too early. So the effects guy says, let's go over to Pete Devlin, sound mixer. Could you play that back, Peter? Yeah.
Did Michael cop to it?
He did.
Okay, good.
did, yeah.
How's he to work with?
You know what? Challenging, yes. But
imagine.
I would credit him with my ability to make cool-looking images quickly.
Yep.
Because nobody else does it as fast or, you know, he won't shoot something that doesn't look good.
That's cool.
So I ended up doing 4 movies with him.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot on those sets and got to do some really amazing things and work with some really incredible people.
That's cool. Cool runnings?
My first,
'Cause I can't not ask
my
you about
first
Cool
union
Runs.
movie. Fade and Papa Michael
Seriously?
was the DP. Yeah,
Was it great?
I had a great time. I went up to Calgary in January, I think. So a
That
little
doesn't
chilly.
sound like a great time, but
that
anyway.
was the start of it, and wearing ice cleats backing up the bobsled run with the Steadicam on.
Oh, geez. All the Canadian students are like, what's wrong with that?
But it went really well. I had a great time, and they asked me to do the Jamaican portion.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was I think I flew up to Calgary the day after I got my union card.
Wow.
So it was
did you get to ride in a bobsled? Did you take a
I
ride?
got there a week after the insurance company stopped them from doing
Because I always assumed like I could just see at lunch. They're like, let's take a run.
that. Fade and Papa Michael made it down in Olympic qualifying time with the Canadian driver and brakeman.
So he was the third.
They'd put two crew members in the middle, and then have the two
Oh,
actual
I see what
Olympic
you're saying,
team
two on the
members
outside.
on the outside.
Get
And
outta
he
here.
said he actually made it down in Olympic qualifying
Did he say it was
time.
just unbelievable? That's
Yeah.
got to be wild.
Oh, he said it was insane.
Oh, that's totally cool. Have you ever completely failed?
Yes, absolutely.
And next. You want to share it?
It was with our mutual friend John Lindley.
Oh.
It was one of the early movies he had me come in on as just the Steadicam operator. And it was a running shot on a movie called I Love Trouble with Nick Nolte and Julia Roberts. Where
Okay.
they hated each other, and it was a really interesting set to be on.
That's just fun.
But yeah, I did do some really fun shots. John had me doing things I hadn't done before. Really big arcing moves around Nick Nolte in the newsroom, but on a long lens with the Steadicam.
Oh, wow.
Which normally you'd be on we were doing stuff where normally in spherical you'd be on a 27,
Yeah.
and I'd be on a 50 or a 75.
Okay.
And so I've got a lot of ground to
Yeah,
cover, but
yeah.
the background's whooshing by.
Whooshing
and
by, sure.
Gave it some really cool energy.
Yeah.
And John had some really good ideas on that. But we were on a rooftop in a hotel rooftop downtown LA. The big neon sign that's down there. I forget the
I know
the
what you're
hotel.
talking about.
Everyone shoots up there.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to run along a catwalk paralleling someone else running on the other catwalk. I can't remember who. I think it was Julia Roberts. Maybe.
Okay.
And the shot kept changing. At first, I was sort of following her, moving up to a profile. And we were on two separate catwalks. I was about 20 feet away from her. And by the time they were ready to roll, they suddenly wanted me way ahead of her shooting back. But I operate with the camera on the left, and it was off. And I realized as we're getting closer to it that I'm not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm now out of the position where I can actually
Because the shot has changed
functionally get the
significantly
shot.
from what you originally set
And
up
I had to
for.
go to John and say, I can't do this. And he was pissed, understandably. He said, if you'd told me this half an hour ago, we'd have the track laid and we'd be fine. But now we have to wait. Dolly grips have to lay the track. And I should have caught it earlier because I had a bad feeling that it might happen. And so the shot I was hired to come in and do that
Oh,
night.
and that was the only thing you were brought in to do, or the main thing.
That night,
Yeah.
it was the main thing I was there to do, and I couldn't do it. And so that was a sinking feeling and a learning moment, as it were, about knowing limitations, speaking up about them early, raising issues if you think you're going to have them.
Yep.
Again, it all comes more easily with experience.
Yeah.
I know what I can't do now for the most part.
Yeah.
And if it looks like that's coming up, I'll say, I can't do that.
Yeah. And do you have any advice for how to deal with that crushing blow and not let it just spiral out of control? And
I was lucky that I had that happen with John Lindley instead of Bob Richardson.
that's true. Yeah. Because John would be upset, but then he'd move on.
Yeah, exactly. John got it, and
Wow.
they set up the dolly track, got the shot, and it was fine.
That's amazing.
So I was fortunate in that event. There have been other times where I couldn't get the shot, but funny story about a Bob Dylan music video with Daniel Pearl in the very early days where I couldn't. The only reason I was saved was because it was, again, February, freezing cold in the meatpacking district, and Bob Dylan got so pissed off that he just stormed off the set and left.
Because you couldn't do the shot?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I wasn't going to be able to.
Oh, so he preemptively saved you.
Yes, exactly. It was like suddenly decided they wanted to do the entire music video in a oneer, walking 5 blocks.
Oh, God.
And I had an SR, so I
Yeah.
thought, okay, maybe I can do it.
16 millimeter
16
camera,
millimeter. Then Daniel Pearl put about 25 pounds of lighting equipment on the rig,
Oh, God.
enough to collapse the arm. I couldn't even
Oh,
hold
jeez.
it. This was way back when.
Yeah.
It was a ring light made out of 3/4 inch plywood and anchored to
It weighs more than the camera.
It did. It weighed
Yeah.
more than the camera. Anchored to the camera with C-stand arms, with a 120 volt cable running along,
Holy crap.
tied to it. and I had 102-degree fever and the flu.
Just recipe for success.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So halfway through the first block, I was ready to collapse.
Oh my God.
And I thought, I'm not going to make it one block.
Yeah.
And then the light went out, which saved my life. And I was huddled in the corner shaking, and Bob Dylan basically gave everybody the finger, told us all we were idiots, and left.
Wow. That's amazing.
Saved my life.
Did you jump up and been like, hell no, we're doing the music
happy.
video?
No, I was so happy. I thought, my career's not over.
Oh, that's incredible. Good luck.
You need some.
Yeah.
But you also need to be smart, and you need to be ambitious, and
All that shit.
also it helps to be good at what you do.
That's true. So besides being an incredible Steadicam operator, you do something. You have sort of an odd side hobby. Not that one. The miniatures and stuff like that. You want to just talk about that for a second?
I did mention that I started out. I went to NYU for their animation program.
Yeah.
So stop motion has always been near and dear to my heart, and so I've started to dabble in that again.
It's very cool.
And I even went so far as during COVID, I bought a mill and a lathe and learned how to machine the stop motion armatures and build the little puppets to do the stop motion and all that kind of stuff.
And you and your wife are making a full
my
short
wife's
now
a
with it, right?
actress, the actress I met on the movie,
Yeah.
right? So my wife's a writer, and she wrote a great little 10-minute short that I will probably spend most of my retirement making.
The next 20 years of your life
Yeah.
making this 10-minute stop action.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
But I will use everything I've learned
Yeah.
on sets from directors and production designers and DPs
Sure.
and costumers, and I'll use all those things I've learned from all these amazing people I've met, and I'll distill it down into this little thing I'm in charge of.
That's awesome. Well, the camera work better be damn good. That's all I have to say.
Well, I am working on a motion control rig to make sure that's the case.
Of course you are. Well, David, this has been amazing. I want to thank you. This has actually been really cool for me because you don't know this, but when I was at my workshop, my Malibu workshop, I think you came by and Chris Harhoff came by and some other people came by because George Paddock had brought by the original sort of
The Model 1 that he modified.
He took the Model 1 and he hacked it all up
Yeah.
like we all did, but he turned it into what became the Pro and everything else, or sort of the early
impetus for
and
the
you guys
Pro.
all showed up, yeah, exactly, and I remember looking at all you guys and going, God, these are like big operators here, and I can't talk to any of them because they're whatever. And now sort of like you're a friend and
Absolutely. Also, if you look back at that, we were like 26.
You were 26, but I was like 14.
Yeah,
I wasn't driving yet, and I was just I didn't know how to put on a Steadicam, and I was like,
Right.
I do real movies.
'Cause you did-
and then I remember seeing that ad that was that Canadian ad, and thinking like, oh, why does David Emmerichs get to go up to Canada and be in an ad? And anyway, but it's very cool to sort of like be able to talk to you guys about this stuff, and you've had an amazing career. So it's
Well,
kinda
thank you very
cool.
much.
Yeah, it's kinda
I'm
cool to
really
ask
impressed
of
with
all
what
this.
you've done with the op.
Oh, thank you.
And the interviews are great. The podcasts are great.
It's a
I
blast.
really enjoy hearing them.
And
so
more importantly, I get to talk about myself a lot, which is really, wait till you hear this. This is going to be 25 minutes of me talking and 4 minutes of you going, so I'm going to leave you with the question that I leave everybody with, which is simply advice for people getting into the business today, something you wish you knew back then on how to succeed. What do you got?
Okay. The thing I tell people that I think is the most important skill for an operator to have is communication. And it took me a long time to learn that. And I had several things happen where had I been a better communicator, the day, job, week, month, whatever, would have gone a lot better. So keeping an open line of communication and keeping it clear is really important. And once I learned that and got good at it, it made the job so much easier. So communicate. As far as the way to get into the business now, are you talking about something like that? I'd say go shoot your own stuff, because the business has changed so much since I got into it. The way I got into it doesn't happen anymore. But if I were starting out now, I'd buy a camera. I'd go buy a Sony FX6 and a lens and just go shoot stuff. And I'd probably end up being a DP. I did actually DP a couple movies, and I started to go that route. But quite frankly, Steadicam pays better, and you don't have to work as many hours.
That's definitely true.
Not to disparage it, cinematography is an amazing, amazing thing, of course.
I'll cut that part out.
Yeah, you can.
Anything else?
Okay, so let's say you do want to pursue a career in Steadicam. What would my advice be for someone who wants to go do that right now?
Or just succeeding in general.
Succeeding in general?
On set.
I will borrow what John Mang and Brad Ray said when they came to give their talk at the workshop that we did, the crane workshop at Cinemoves. Be kind. Don't be a jerk. Nobody wants to work with a jerk. Be part of the team and be kind.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We'll be back soon with another great episode. Don't forget to check us out on theop.io for all sorts of information on operating and storytelling. So thanks for listening and have a great day.